Hey, good morning, everybody. We're going to start the next section. This is reflection and action planning. And so I got bumped from icebreakers to closer, so I'm really excited about that. It's a promotion. So did everybody have a good time? Great. Did everybody get a chance to relax? Yes. Everybody get outside for a walk or for a run? Mixed. Did anybody crash one of the other weddings that was here? That happened last year. It happened last year. No one crashed another wedding? Okay. Did anyone attend the conference that was next door? The conference next door was the Georgia Association of Licensed Repossessors. So it was a repo conference. And so here's what they did at the repo conference. I went and talked to them and got an agenda. And so they started off with a call to order. They had a locksmith demonstration. They reviewed contracts. They looked at Georgia personal property law. They have a mobile app. They had a session on preventing breach of peace charges against repo folks, and had a session about how to protect yourself from frivolous lawsuits. So, very interesting. I'm sorry that you missed a chance to go to the repo conference, but if you were at the repo conference, you probably attended and went, that locksmith thing, that was really good. I'm going to take home some tools from what I learned about the locksmith part. Or you might say, if I get into a tussle with somebody, I might just drive away and come and get that car at another time. And so these folks were in the parking lot if you didn't get a chance to interact with them there. Nice folks doing important work. How does that relate to what we're doing? It relates to what we're doing because you might want to get out your agenda, have it handy. And some people are watching me while I'm at the conference. They're like, what are all these notes that you're taking? So if you took some notes, now would be a good time to take a look at those notes, because here's what we're going to do. What we're going to do is we are going to talk about what's the next steps. So after we've had a good time here, what is it that we're going to do when we get back home? What are we going to change personally? What are we going to change in our practices? What are we going to do? So there's a little sheet on your table that is a front and back sheet. It's a little worksheet, and we're going to go through 3 steps to get from reflection to action. And so here's the first step. We'll do rapid reflection for 4 minutes, prioritization and action plan for 6 minutes, and commitment and next steps for 5. So rapid. If you go to ChatGPT and ask for a program of reflection to action, it gives you a 70-minute session. So stay with me. We're going to do it a lot quicker. All right. So the first thing you have is this front and back. And if you're really kind of going, what the heck is he talking about? On the Whova app, if you go to the Whova app and you go to Home and you look under Photos, I completed one of these for myself. So that if you get stuck, like, what is he talking about? I don't understand what we're supposed to do. You can actually look at these at the end. And you might, as an action plan commitment, actually post your own action plan on the Whova app as well. And so other people who are trying to do the same thing might want to find out that you're trying to do the same thing. And you might hold each other as accountability partners. You might share ideas about how to do it. So again, we're going to go from this blank sheet, front and back, to one that's completed. All right, here we go. And the timer starts now. So the first thing that I want you to do is I want you to write down the most important idea that you gleaned from this conference and put on the next part, what is the most important action step? So you're going to take 2 minutes by yourself and then find somebody at your table, and with the remaining 2 minutes, talk about what you wrote down, listen to what they wrote down, and then we'll come back again at the end of 4 minutes. Okay, you're about to go to the sharing part. So again, you've done the top insight, and then your immediate action step, and then you can share at your table. And we've got 2 more minutes. Got about 15 seconds. That's okay. Start wrapping up your conversations. If you came in a little bit late, that's okay too. We'll catch up, but you're writing down what was the top insight that you gained and what are the immediate action steps. Okay, let's come back together for a second because we're gonna keep working this idea that you wrote down. Come back together for a second. Come back together. Okay, so here's the next step. We're going to go from that top insight and your immediate action idea, and then we're going to go to the back side of the page. And so this is step 2. All right, you ready for step 2? So step 2 is that you take that immediate action idea and top insight and you create a 1-sentence goal statement. Then you talk about your first step, and then you talk about barriers in its solution. And so on the sample that I put in the Whova app, I drew from Chad Hale's opening talk. And one of the things that Chad talked about is what happens if we're talking about people who are 56 years old of age with cognitive impairment. What would you do differently? And I wrote down something about, okay, we got to think of a different plan, not just annual wellness visits. And then my barrier was this creates a whole new workflow. And the solution would be that I'd get together with my practice partners and figure out what the workflows would be outside of the annual wellness visit to do some of this work. Okay? So you're going to do whatever it was that was your idea on the back of this page. 1-sentence goal, what's your first step, what might be a barrier that would come up, and how would you get around that? And we're going to go with 4 minutes, and then we'll have the last 2 minutes for sharing again. And go. Work on your own for the first part, and then we'll share at the end. I'm going to speed you up just a little second and ask you to go ahead and do your minute of sharing about your prioritization and action plan. Okay, let's come back together again. Thanks all for your good, diligent work. Just to review, because I know that some folks came in a little bit late, we're talking about on the front side of this, we're coming up with what's an insight that we gained from the conference, what is an action idea. Then we've put that into a goal statement on the back, and then we've talked about what would be the first step on achieving this goal, and then what might go wrong and how can we recover from that. And so raise your hand if you had any questions about what we're doing so far. Please go ahead. Yes. So it's an interesting conversation and topic. So the Medicare annual wellness visit is probably the worst named visit ever. It's actually not. It's annual. They got that part right. So it's not meant to be a physical. It's not meant to be your extra visit that you have. And if we used it and if patients understood it as what you just said, we would actually have what we're looking for. So we've tried some reframing for the Medicare annual wellness visit, and we call that a prevention visit or a wellness and prevention visit. And we focus on the personalized prevention plan. And in the integrated memory care clinic where I work, we actually have our registered nurses run that visit so that people don't get confused by seeing their provider and want to talk about their shoulder or want to talk about their knee. And so it's not required that a physician or a nurse practitioner or a PA do the Medicare annual wellness visit. But if you ask patients what they think it is, they think it's something different than what it could be. Another thing that's kind of interesting about the Medicare annual wellness visit is that we're supposed to do fall screening and cognitive screening and all these other different things, but they don't tell us what tool we're to use. And I don't think they'll ever specify that. So this notion of, hey, how can we think about the right tool to use? And so I think your question is a really good one. And I think that we might have everything in our power to solve it with better messaging and preserving it as that visit where we focus on this sort of stuff. If you wanted to throw in an advanced care planning visit at the end of your Medicare annual wellness visit, you can do that with no charge, no co-payment to the Medicare beneficiary as well. Great questions. Other questions? Dr. Law loaned me 5 minutes, so I'm good. Stacy, could you reset me to 5 minutes? Thanks. Anything else? Okay, cool. Next step. Yes, go ahead, Kennard. Oh. Hi, Dr. Barilotti. You can also, if you wanted to, with the Medicare annual wellness visit, bill a problem-based visit at the same time. So you can actually sort of magically close the chapter on the annual wellness visit and say, we're about to move to a problem-focused visit. If you don't have time in your schedule to do that, Dr. Barilotti's suggestion is exactly correct. You just move that to another visit, which you bill for. Thanks for that suggestion. Cool, everybody good? All right, so here's the last statement. This is step 3. I commit to doing action X by date Y. 1 minute. Okay, let's go ahead and work with folks at your table. Just support each other for 1 minute in terms of what you talked about. Learn about what other people talked about in their one sentence commitment statement. And if you have time to do that now, you can post your sheet front and back on the photos section of the Whova app. 1 minute. So again, you have the opportunity to post this on the Whova app. You have people at your table, folks that you came with, who can help you with accountability for the thing that you just put down. We are deeply appreciative of the participation that you had at the Georgia Memory Net Primary Care Symposium, and I'm going to bring Dr. Law up to the podium. Just one more reminder about the online course for PCPs that's upcoming. We're taking a lot of our content from what we've done, as well as some of our Georgia Memory Net insights, and loading those up for education on demand. And thanks to the Primary Care Advisory Board for suggesting that they're not always free at lunchtime. They'd love to see the great content, but they'd also like to get CME credit for that. So coming soon. Thanks so much.